Where is Eris? After leaving Rudeus with that misunderstanding that left him troubled for a long time, when Rudeus finally overcame it and stopped thinking about it altogether, Rudeus appears and suggests that things might not be as he sees. It often happens that people like him and Eris end up misunderstanding each other when it comes to communication, and that Rudeus should reassess his situation with Eris so that if they ever met again, Rudeus won't be thinking too wrongly. And Rudeus' words make a lot of sense when we find out what Eris has been doing all this time. Starting from volume 9 of the light novel, we have extra chapters in the volumes telling us what was happening with Eris, chapters that obviously weren't adapted in the anime. Therefore, today we are going to take an in-depth look into the path Eris has been walking in Mushoku Tensei over the past few years. But before that, consider subscribing to the channel to support my work and leave a like to support the video. Starting in volume 9, chapter The Mad Dog Rages, in a place known as the Sword Sanctuary, located in the far north of the continent, a harsh and unforgiving region covered in snow year-round. This is where the first sword god chose to establish his school, trained his students, and founded his sanctuary that is still used today as a preferred destination for swordsmen, a place where many new talents emerge every year. If anyone truly desires to study the sword, they would be encouraged to at least visit this place. Countless young masters in training gathered there, some young and talented, others more older. Currently there were 3 true prodigies at the sanctuary. The first is Nina Farion, the daughter of the current sword god. At 18 years old and already holding the rank of sword saint, Nina is an incredible talent, expected to become a king before 20 and an emperor by 25, being the top student of the dojo. The second is Gino Brits, the second son of Brits' family, a branch of Farion's clan and Nina's cousin. At 14 years old, Gino already achieved his title of sword saint at 12 and is the youngest to have reached such a rank, showing immense talent that rivals his cousin. Lastly, there is Eris Greyhat, a 17-year-old girl who struck terror into the hearts of all who crossed her path, a mad dog who violently attacked anyone who dared to provoke her, and she arrived at the Holy Land 2 years ago alongside the Sword King Ghislaine. Since then, every day Eris subjected herself to a brutal training route, a routine that defied death, relentlessly pushing her body to its limits. Her arrival at the sanctuary 2 years ago was memorable for all involved as well. Following Ghislaine's footsteps, they both entered the sanctuary hall for an audience with Galfarion, the sword god, with many of his disciples present. Here, instead of bowing her head to Gal and showing respect by kneeling, Eris declared that she had no interest in someone lightweight as the sword god, provoking the ire of all disciples around her. However, Gal merely smiled. He understood what the mad dog was seeking and why she would insult and provoke him. Praising the fire in Eris' eyes, the sword god asked whom she wished to kill, to which Eris immediately responded, the dragon god Orsted. With that, the sword god burst in laughter, agreeing that compared to Orsted, he was indeed lightweight, remarking that he thought he was the only one who desired to kill the dragon. And what made Galfarion laugh the most was understanding that for Eris, wanting to kill Orsted meant becoming the strongest person in the world, as the Orsted actually is the one most powerful. Thus asking if Eris would be capable of achieving this and being pleased by her resolute answer, Gal summoned Gino for a duel with Eris, and as soon as he gripped the sword, Eris violently attacked Gino. Catching him off guard, he was struck with so much force that he lost consciousness. Next, Nina was summoned and was handed a metal sword by one of the disciples, clearly with the intent of kill Eris. With a far superior sword, Nina shattered Eris' blade with just one strike, and when she was confident of her victory, Eris used her body. With murderous eyes, Eris punched and kicked Nina, forcing the battle to be stopped to prevent her from killing the girl. The disciples soon began to revolt and insult Eris, preparing to even finish her off. But before they could, realizing he had underestimated Eris, Galfarion himself decided to toy with her, taking up his real blade. Seeing this, Eris also drew her own blade, unsheathing it and preparing herself, with Gao even acknowledging that Eris' sword was crafted by Julian, stating that his own was also made by him. Drawing a sword whose blade shimmered with golden light, this was one of the 7 swords of the Sword God, as well as one of the 48 magic swords created by Julian Harisco, a legendary craftsman of the Demon Continent. Known as a Trachea, it was a sword made from the bones of the Dragon King Kajakut, and seeing that Sword God wield his sword, the Hao fell silent, as he hardly wielded a blade himself when not in training with Emperor's rank. Having prepared, Galfarion initiated the fight, and Eris was immediately launched into the air, crashing through the entrance doors and then landing in a pile of snow outside. And while everyone believed Eris was dead, she was stirred in the snow, but she was groaning, making it clear she had survived the Sword God's attack. With that, Galfarion instructed Ghislaine to tend to Eris' wounds, declaring her a sword saint from that moment on, and he announced that he would begin training her the following day. This naturally horrified the disciples, as it meant Eris was to become a student of the Sword God himself, an honor bestowed on no one since Ghislaine. Someone even tried to argue that such a wild girl didn't deserve it, but Gao silenced him with his blade, stating that she bested their true greatest prodigies, which was enough for him. Furthermore, if he himself, Galfarion, doesn't believe that the title of Sword God is something special, why the title of Sword Saint would be, shutting up the disciples and turning Eris into a Sword Saint, and of course a student of Sword God. And now returning to the present day, Nina had loathed Eris from the beginning, which was understandable given that Eris had beaten and humiliated her in front of everyone. To Nina, Eris was nothing more than a wild dog wandering around, resorting to using her firsts when her sword skills weren't up to par, like a child. Nina considered such behavior beneath the students of her style, let alone a Sword Saint. This was her opinion, and she openly spread it for everyone. For the past 2 years, she barely spoken to Eris, even working with Gino to ensure no other student paid attention to her. And meanwhile, Eris spent most of her time training relentlessly with Ghislaine, even sharing a room with her. Because of this, Eris had no connection with anyone else and felt no need to speak with them, nor did she make any effort to do so. The few words they have ever exchanged were sarcastic insults during mandatory training sessions, and in these sessions, the two were evenly matched, with Nina believing that in a tournament with rules, she is better than Eris. And of course, this is a naive thought, but will take some time for Nina to realize her nonsense. At the moment, Nina and Eris were rivals, although Eris didn't even think about the girl. So one day, at the end of summer, while chatting with other girls at her age about romance, like which girls had slept with someone and who they found attractive, although Nina had never had such a relationship and couldn't even imagine having one, Eris paced by them after a training session, and Nina, even without experience, reflexively called out Eris, asking if she had ever done anything besides training, saying she would remain a virgin until she died, and that her sword couldn't keep her warm at night. But Eris just started laughing and scoffed at her, proudly stating that she was no longer a virgin, and even blushing slightly, and all the girls realized she wasn't bluffing. Nina then questioned in shock, asking with whom it had been, and Eris said it was with a guy she met when she was young. Normally, Eris never talked to others, but when it was about Rudeus, she could chatter for a while. So she told how they grew up, travel from the Demon Continent, how they meet the Dragon God, and that Rudeus even managed to land a blow on Orsted. And then she talked about the night they spent together, explaining that she wanted to become stronger because of him. It was a simple and sincere love story, and it left Nina defeated. Even though they were equal in swordsmanship, Eris had already a boyfriend. Nina then tried to deny Rudeus' existence, saying the Dragon God is protected by a kind of sacred dragon aura, and that common spells cannot scratch him, hoping that Eris would admit her lie. But Eris says that Rudeus isn't common, and that's why she still can't be with him. She needs to get stronger, clenching her fists with fire burning her eyes. And then Eris immediately returned to the training hall, while Nina could only look astonished, as Eris, the last person she expected, had a boyfriend. Wanting to deny the existence of Rudeus, Nina took her day off to visit the nearest city, where she searched for information about Rudeus' grey hat, hoping to find nothing but coming across with a detailed report. Born in Fitoa, he began studying magic at the age of 3 with Roxy, a water mage at the king level. At 5 years old, he became a water mage Sand. Then at 7 years old, he became Eris Borel's grey hat tutor. And then after the displacement, over the years, Rudeus reappeared in the northern part of the continent as an adventurer, earning the name of Quagmire Rudeus. Now he's currently residing in Sharia at the invitation of the Magic University. Furthermore, he's highly respected among adventurers, and although he has such incredible history, Nina saw that most of Rudeus' achievements were in his childhood, and it didn't seem like his talent had flourished into adulthood, leading Nina to a twisted line of thinking. Thinking and track down Rudeus, defeat him in a duel, capture him, and bring him to the Holy Land, just to see Eris' reaction. With this plan in mind, Nina made her preparations and set off for Sharia, but what she would find after 6 weeks of travel would surprise her. She had despised mages and viewed them only as weaks, but here were many muscular and trained individuals, making her realize that she had unjustified prejudice toward mages. Soon she would spot a beastman who was looking for Rudeus, and following him she would soon find Rudeus, a young man who was not so thin and weak, but not intimidating neither. Before she could challenge Rudeus, the beastman did, and while she thought Rudeus would be torn apart, he defeated the beastman in 3 seconds flat, then walked away without even looking back. Afterward, she would follow Rudeus, only to encounter a large group of people wanting to fight him. But before they could, a purple demon, Bodyguard, appeared and easily crushed them all, including Nina, who was filled with terror and pain, wondering why she was fighting a demon king at a magic university. And it was until Rudeus emerged. Then he and the demon exchanged words and started a duel, where Rudeus exploded Bodyguard with a spell in some seconds. The demon who effortlessly defeated Nina was exploded by her rival's boyfriend easily. Nina would obviously be in shock and returned to Swordland, seeing Eris branching her sword with a single-minded focus, with a goal in mind. And after that, she stopped mocking Eris, and the two of them become true rivals over time. Now, this was just every chapter in 9 volumes. If you want me to bring the rest of the chapters in a next video telling about Eris and her training, comment below so I can know. If you have seen this far, subscribe to the channel to support my work and leave a like to support the video. Now, bye bye.